Farmajo is a stooge of the West, is a man who is hell-bent in auctioning every single resource that is there in Somalia. And that is why he has, up to date, to today, Dr. Masanga, he has refused to seize power. He has refused to give Somalis their democratic right to be able to elect the next government. So therefore, there's little hope in the government that is there in Somalia today, and the Kenyan authorities should look out for other able leaders in Somalia who will be able to give us a chance to have very amicable talk and be able to resolve these disputes in a local way.
Thank you. Thank you. Solving the dispute in a local, regional way. Tawish, tell us which way forward?
Well, Dr. and the rest of the panelists, troubled as Somalia may be, I think it is not just time for the region or Kenya particularly to give up on Somalia. It is time for us to continue in this nation to ensure that there's stability, peace and security in Somalia, because the lack of the same means the same for Kenya and the rest of the region. So we must actually continue with the same spirit. We must continue with the same effort to ensure that we salvage this country from the collision between Kenya and Somalia in as far as the maritime dispute is concerned. Because again, Somalia appears determined not to come back home, not to come back for any other diplomatic breakthrough in as far as, for example, the regional organs are concerned. They disputed of course, the verdict by IGAD, you remember. They are not also keen in seeing how African Union can pursue and find a solution to this matter. And so therefore it appears like Somalia wants the international organs to try and find a solution to this. Last time you remember, and I really want to repeat the same, that this dispute should not be viewed from the perspective of finding just a resolution, because a resolution will be binding and may not really be favorable to either of the side. We must be geared towards finding a solution which will make it possible for Kenya and Somalia to continue enjoying the cordial relationship that they have had for quite some time, Dr. Masanga. So I think that is the way forward in as far as lobbying is also concerned. I think the government of Kenya and through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs needs really to intensify and escalate lobbying so that we can find solutions. I think that the Foreign Affairs Ministry is doing so much, sitting pretty in Nairobi and waiting that something good is going to come from, for example, from ICJ. That will not be the best way for us. It is time for us to wake up and see how we can actually exploit other alternatives to find a solution to this actually problem that is we are facing today as a country and as a region. Remember, we said this outcome of this particular case at the ICJ is likely going to have a ripple effect not only to Kenya but also to the rest of the countries that border Somalia in this Indian Ocean waters, Tanzania, Mozambique, and other countries. And we do not want to see protracted kind of battles just because of the oil riches or because of the mineral resources that we find in these waters, or even in our lands today. We want to continue living together as brothers and sisters, depending on one another, uplifting one another, and seeing how this region can rise up and become a beacon of hope to the entire world. Dr. Masanga, I submit.
Thank you very much. Let's bring Javani Karanja. Then Douglas, you finish it for us.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. David Masanga. And on my parting shot, I will say that the government of Kenya should ensure that we maintain the peaceful coexistence, the peaceful and the unification between Kenya and Somali, because we have been good neighbors. We have helped, we have stood there for them. We also have a big refugee camp here in the country that hosts a number of Somali origin. Therefore, we don't want that a peace that we have created for many years to go into waste because of something that we can offer solutions. One, I see that I can suggest that the government of Kenya seeks a new diplomatic negotiations or other form to ensure that we settle this issue amicably, and we are Africans there in the international courts that have been saturated by foreign interference to expose our neighbors. Let's settle this issue amicably here in Africa, using mediums like the African Union, other regional bodies, or to form a tribunal that will look onto this matter in deep analysis and ensure that we can settle this issue once and for all. We can also seek the intervention from the United Security Council, bearing in mind Kenya is a member of the non-permanent member in the council. Therefore, maybe we can seek those kind of avenues so that we settle this issue well. Therefore, on conclusion, Doctor, we need, as a region, to ensure that before we go to these international courts, we try to exhaust the mechanisms, the local or the regional mechanism that we have, to avoid this kind of here pull and push. Therefore, let's, as Africans, be exhausting the mechanism that we already have in place. And finally, Kenya should pull out completely from the ICJ because of various mistreatment, by failure of the ICJ to admit the new evidence that Kenya has, by them having a judge of Somali origin. I think, and proposing that the session to be done through a virtual link. I think that is not quite fair, and we should also pull out so that we don't go there to expose ourselves, because when we go there, we can be on a very bad pedestal if we happen to lose the case, or if we happen to win, because we don't know what the Somalis have prepared. Thank you, Dr. Masanga.
Thank you very much. You brought up cardinal issues. One of them you touched, the United Nations Security Council wrote, which I have already petitioned the United Nations. I think most of you read my letters. And I'm urging the Secretary General to come in to defer. And I told Kenya a long time ago, they should have taken this route, started that route. There was no need of going to that court, because that court was biased from the word go. Douglas, in a minute or 2 minutes, take it away for us.
Thank you, Dr. Masanga. Because those are European judges who are also very biased. Instead of even that Somali judge stepping away from the case, he has been taken again and also taken back to, at the bench. He was a presiding judge, like Dr. Masanga has always consistently, and this also this evening said that he has made bad decisions concerning the issue of Kenya. So we see an end of these Western resource greedy areas who continue controlling this court by the scenes, and we cannot be able to continue walking into that court. So it is the high time the Republic of Kenya stops engagement with the pseudo court, the International Court of Justice, that is not giving any international justice. It is a tool that is being used by Euro robbers who are trying to steal the maritime resources of the Masanga. Is that the world should now know the people that are being fronted for another time in Somalia, people led by Mohamed Faramajo, a citizen of America, who continues using the people of Somalia as a collateral damage to continue staying in power. A man that stays in power illegitimately. This is a call to Joe Biden-led administration to see people that continue subverting the will of the people, people that continue subverting democratic tendencies and the tenets and the very foundations that our democratic ideals are founded on, and the aspirations of the people of Somalia. It is the high time the world and the international community moves with the speed and also stops the man in Somalia, the refugee. There is no one that writes a letter to God and prays to become a refugee or born in a refugee camp. We need to cross the Dadaab and the Kakuma refugee camps for Somalians to go back to their country and rebuild their country, rebuild a stronger East Africa, rebuild a better Africa and a better world. Dr. Masanga, I submit, and thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much, viewers. Thank you very much all over the world. Our contribution towards this maritime conflict in the Indian Ocean between Somalia boundary and Kenyan boundary conflict. We shall continue to do so. We shall continue to talk about it. We shall all the time come back here and look at another angle. Today we have looked at the angle of international cartels that have come to buy Somalia, taken Somalia and turned it into a country that is ruled by the mafia. But here we are, one suggestions that have come under Chapter 7 of the United Nations Security Council. Chapter 7, Article 39 and 40. It is very clear. We don't need a tribunal. We need a deferral. And let Kenya take it from my lips. You need a deferral. Defer this case. Defer and allow the parties to find other ways. But the United Nations Security Council has not received the notification of deferral. Time has come for now for Kenya to defer to route towards New York, to put their case in New York, to lobby international community, tell the community that there is a problem that is going to happen in Indian Ocean. That's the much I can say. I have done enough for Kenya. I will continue to do enough for Kenya. I've talked from morning up to evening, crying for this country. Believe me or not,